Yo guys, what's going on? It's Ace is here today with another video. In today's video, we're going to be checking out some of the community feedback from Arc Raiders via the discussions page on Steam. Now, this isn't necessarily the best place to go for player feedback because there are going to be a lot of trolls, people just farming for award points, and people that are just genuinely, well, to put it very, very nicely, not very smart. There's some people that just do not understand how Arc Raiders works, what Arc Raiders is supposed to be. Don't understand that there's more than one map. It's not the full game that was showcased with the Server Slam. There's just people that are genuinely dumb, and I mean that in the nicest way possible. So I'm going to do my best to try and see through some of the BS, and we're going to try and, take a look at some of these threads, maybe 10-15 minutes of checking stuff out, and we'll wrap it up. I'll try and give my take in pretty much anything we are checking out here. And like I said, there is going to be a lot of BS. I'm going to do my best to kind of see through it. And yeah, we're just going to kind of look at the community feedback, see what people are saying. And there are some pretty big threads in here. So let's just start with the first one, man. I have not read any of these. You can see they're all still unread. So, I haven't looked at any of these or premeditated a video or anything. No, it is currently the 21st and it is 11:17 p.m. So let's see what we got here. Why are people aggroing so much? The game incentivizes players teaming up to fight with Arc, with items like the defib working on players outside your group. I was actually wondering about that. I haven't tested that yet, so that's kind of good to know. I tried to help a group who were getting downed by the flying drones, and I started to get shot, and I was telling them I'm friendly. All right, so I'm not even really going to read into this too much. The main reason people, I guess, can make it so that it's unread. I didn't know that. Let me refresh. There you go. You can see none of the other ones I read. All right, so why do people aggro so much in Arc Raiders? Well, it's mainly because if you're playing solo, the way solo players have been kind of molded to think is it's every man for themselves and everything is shoot on sight. And yes, in this game, there are instances, unlike games like Escape from Tarkov, where every scav boss is killable on their own. Every single thing you could possibly attack in Tarkov is something you can kill on your own. That's not the case, really, in Arc Raiders, so it does incentivize a little bit more of teamwork, and that's something people are going to have to learn. But as of this exact moment, that's the way people are wired. People genuinely just think this is a PvP game with additional everything elements. So this is mainly a PvP game plus everything. It's kind of weird to word it that way, but that's just how people have been molded from games like Escape from Tarkov. There's so much of an issue with trust and valuing your time and getting your items. It's one of those things like you just cannot trust people in solos. Now, squads might be a little bit different. It's like if you see another squad, before you engage, be like, hey, do you guys want to go try and take out the queen or do something like that? And if they say yes, great. You have a new team to work with and try and split up some loot and do something cool. If they don't agree, then you just engage them or you run away, whatever case you want to make. So I'm going to try and not spend too much time on each and everything because I do want to check out a bunch of stuff. So let's just dive right into it. Petition for PvE mode. If you want PvE mode, just sign here. He's got 40 clowns and a lot of other rewards. I'm not going to read into this too much with all the thread, but I do not think Arc Raiders is a PvE game. If you want a PvE extraction shooter experience, go play Escape from Tarkov in the PvE mode. I think Arc Raiders is one of the few games that the PvP actually works and makes sense. So this isn't something I say lightly. I am a full PvE main over on Tarkov, and I love it to death. But Arc Raiders is the first game in a while that I've really enjoyed the PvP aspect of it as well. And we'll see, 6 months from now, what's the cheating situation like, other stuff like that. But it is a paid title. Yes, Tarkov's a paid title. I don't want to hear that argument right now. But games like the Cycle Frontier, which this game is extremely similar to, that title was free and it got ruined by hackers. And let's transition right into it. Hacker Central. Without the implementation of Secure Boot and TPM, this game will be riddled with hackers on PC. Easy anti-cheat is easily bypassed. So, I don't know. Is there a way I can see how many hours this guy has on Arc? I know I'm digging into his profile, and I apologize if somehow this gets to him. I cannot see it currently, so I'm a little interested on his take. He may have played it on Epic. That's very, very possible. He did play it on Epic, but I do want to say there is some truth to Clutch Nelson's claim. I mean, easy anti-cheat is what a lot of games use, and when the same anti-cheat is used for so many of these games, it's kind of like giving these developers of the cheats a little bit of a head start. And it is unfortunate. I believe Tarkov uses easy anti-cheat, if I remember correctly. I believe that's what the Cycle Frontier used. And, those games are riddled with cheaters. One is dead, and because of cheaters, and the other one, Tarkov, is absolutely riddled with cheaters, and that is probably another big argument for PvE. But when this game comes out, there's going to literally be hundreds of thousands of players playing it with crossplay. Your odds are you'll probably have cheaters in maybe 1% of your raids, and that percentage might go up a little bit because of backfilling. But, to be honest with you, I don't think it's going to be that big of an issue, at least in the short term. So that's what I'll say about that. This is an interesting one. Oh, it's just a YouTube video. Never mind. Let's get a refresh here, see what some of the new. So we got avoiding PvP. Are there mass co-op PvE servers? Yeah, buddy, I don't think we got that. I'm sorry for you. Let's hit the next page. Let's see. All right, so this guy's on the other end of the spectrum saying about how, if they add PvE, he's going to refund. There was a whole lot of hate on Escape from Tarkov when they introduced PvE. If you actually go back, if you go to my Tarkov channel, Aces EFT, right when PvE was released, I got so much hate. I got so much hate because I was the only Escape from Tarkov content creator that supported it. I'm being so serious. Every other Tarkov creator was talking shit on it. They were going off about it. I was the only one, and because of being the only one, in the course of like a week or two, I got over 8,000 new subscribers of people all interested in PvE. So, there's going to be both sides of the coin. If, here's another one. If they cater to PvE, this guy's going to refund because they're losing focus. I don't think that's true. I think there is the possibility they could support both. Tarkov's doing it, but I think, as I've already said, PvP works really well in Arc Raiders. It feels really, really good. A rocket launcher weapon idea, I believe there already is some form of like a rocket grenade or something. He probably just didn't get that far, or it wasn't in the Server Slam. This game is a letdown. Let's read this. The combat feels very soulless and bland. The pacing also feels way off for an extraction shooter. Anyone else skipping this one? Honestly, I gotta disagree here. I think the combat feels very, very, I don't want to say H1Z1 like, because it's not exactly like that, but that's kind of the vibe that I get. In H1Z1, you get your helmet tapped a couple of times, boom, throw a new helmet on. You get your armor cooked, you craft up another makeshift armor, or you have a second one in your bag. It's the same as either shield swapping or, using a shield recharger. Your health goes down. In H1Z1, you pop some bandages. In Arc Raiders, you pop some bandages. H1Z1, that battle royale and the combat system was very simple, but it was very effective. And I think we have the same thing here for Arc Raiders. I don't really necessarily think it feels soulless. I think it feels simple, and there's nothing wrong with simple. Sometimes simple is actually the best course of action. And at the same time, this is probably somebody who I'm not going to be able to view their profile, it's private. But this is probably somebody with very little time on Arc Raiders, and at the same time, they most likely only played the Service Slam. There's going to be so many different ways to get in and out of combat and do different things in the full release of the game. You know, I would say probably 90% of the people here in the forums don't even know a grapple hook existed in Tech Test 2. So that's just, you know, kind of an example. Like, you know, you can grapple out of a situation, you know, get the high ground or something. Like, there is a lot more that's going to come into just the PvP in general. So let's keep. I'm surprised I haven't seen anything about. I could have just missed it. I'm surprised I haven't seen anything about the customization yet, because that was something that was pretty much lacking. Tech Test 2, the graphics were better, and the Service Slam graphics were a downgrade. I did not notice that whatsoever. He probably just didn't adjust his settings because the game was still gorgeous. Pay to win confirmed in interview. Do we have the interview? Just a rage bait. All right. Like I said, if we, I'll try and see through it, man. I'll try and see through it. Let's see. Okay, once again, please implement secure boot and TPM. You know, it's funny. You can kind of just do this in general now. And the reason I say this is because the main titles have it already. The new Call of Duty and the new Battlefield, which hundreds of thousands of players are playing, you know, they require that for PC. So you can kind of just add that without really too much of a risk of your player base, in my opinion. Let's see. Personal conclusion from the player test. I would love to read this. I like to share my impressions from the play test here. Basically, like the game, even though it's designed to be absolutely woke. Here we go. Which I consider to be a negative aspect, but the gameplay has potential. It ran excellently, and the waiting times are short. Have to agree there with this portion. I'm assuming the woke thing is probably aimed at the customization. But I probably let's see, let me backtrack here. I liked the world and also enjoyed exploring it. You only played one map. As I said, the art style is not quite my thing, but I would probably accept it. All right, so this is something that, you know, is person specific. I personally love it. However, I have serious concerns because I'll mainly be playing solo. The play test gave me a strong impression that it won't be fun to play solo. So before I read the rest of this, I will say I got the same vibe from the Service Slam. I had way more fun playing in a group. Now in Tech Test 2, solo, I played it for 8 hours straight, and it was an absolute blast. Because of how much stronger they made Arc, and at the same time, nerfing the Raider hatch key, which I got past, and I already talked about this in a video if you haven't seen it. I've kind of backtracked on that statement a little bit. But not having the hatch key available, it does make the extract camping feel a little bit worse. You know, if you have a group, you have, especially if you're a duo and you're squad feeling and you have a third, you can bait that third. It's fucked up, but you can bait that third to going to the extract and then kind of, you know, just baiting out any shots. And if they're getting shot, then you and your duo can engage whoever it is. As a solo player, you really don't have that, and there's not really a way for you to be able to flush someone out of, you know, knowing they're camping. So let's see. The AI enemies are extremely tough, which I just mentioned, and you can forget about taking on bosses solo. That's absolutely true. And then there's PvP. The developer will probably continue to dream about players teaming up for the bosses. That won't happen. Let's hold on a minute. So this will absolutely happen. It just won't happen often. To say it won't happen in general is completely false. There's going to be people who are very extroverted. There's going to be instances where people are like, hey, you know, I'm on a free kit. Are you on a free kit? Yeah, okay, let's team up. Let's try and find more people on free kits that we can all go take on the boss and get a bunch of gear. Like, that's going to happen. It happens all the time on Tarkov scav runs. But in this game, we do not have a quote-unquote scav. So not having a scav and not having a negative penalty for killing scavs is what's going to hold it back from more of these interactions. But to say it won't happen is simply not true. It will happen. And in my opinion, there will be a game that is... This will be a game that is absolutely not suitable for solo players. It is suitable for solo players. That's why solo queues are, you know, prioritized. It will absolutely be a very solo-friendly game, just not for bosses particularly. Without a team of 3, you're lost or unable to do many things. That is simply not true. You can do a whole lot. I would like to mention one more point that I don't particularly like. That is the perspective at which you play the character. I don't think the third person view is a good thing. I have to disagree. Third person views are very, very good for anti-ratting. If you didn't have a third person view, you would get extract camped way more than you realize. That's actually going to really help with solo play. First person shooters, I love them to death. I love Tarkov to death, but you know, you being third person, you can corner peek stuff. You can do a lot more things with that. There's so much more information you can garner from that. And as a solo player, information is your friend. So this was an interesting take by looks like No Skill is the gamer tag he went for there. But I'm gonna have to kind of disagree with some of that stuff there. Like I said, I'm assuming the woke stuff is probably aimed at the customization. I would just love to see even more options. I don't really care what they're throwing in there. I just want to see more options in general, more hairstyles, more everything. There just needs to be more, and it can't be locked behind the store, in my opinion. So let's see if I can find anything else here. Then we will wrap it up. We're already 16 minutes deep. I mean, you can really go down the rabbit hole into some of these things, and it is what it is. So let's see. I'm just trying to look at some of these. Let's check this one out. Embark. Don't chance a thing. From my experience playing 20 hours of Slam. Damn, that's a lot. Don't change a thing. Take constructive feedback regardless of bugs, but don't deter from the original vision of the game. Well, Chief, they already did that. The original vision of the game was a PvE game. If you cater towards screaming minorities, you will get just another bland extraction shooter copy like ABI. You know, I'm going to kind of agree with that. ABI, well, all right, I can't really say much because of a contract I signed with them for a while ago, but yeah, this guy literally said exactly what I said. It's one of those things where they do need to reduce arc slightly. I shouldn't need to shoot something with the Pharaoh 6 times just to take it down and then have a second one show up and just cook my shield for no reason. Waiting for free to play, not going to happen. Let's see. Anything else? We might go to page 1 here again. Loot could contain more weapons and healing. I honestly, without reading this guy's full, life story, I kind of agree with that, man. It's one of those things where I did find it a little annoying not having ammo on the free kits. On my regular kits, I was taking in hella ammo because, arc are kind of spongy. And, if you run into a few players, like, you're going through all your rounds. I was bringing, like, 200-300 light ammo anytime I was bringing in a Stitcher or something. But I would like to see a little more ammo just kind of scattered about. But you do start to learn like what has ammunition on it. Like if you see arc that is lootable, whether it's a breach or it's just search, if you see arc, dead spiders or whatever on the ground, like there's a good chance there's some light ammo, some medium ammo in there. And you kind of figured out there's also little ammo caches that are around. They're kind of rare, but they are around. Then some of the just square rusted boxes sometimes have medium in them. So you start to figure it out. As for the healing, just go find some lockers. Same thing with the ammo in the lockers. You find them pretty often. The amount of shield rechargers and stuff I find in lockers is pretty damn good. So you just I would say this person needs to learn to loot a little bit more. But at the same time, I do agree that, there was kind of a shortage. But maybe that's good. Maybe that fits the vibe a little bit. I definitely wouldn't want all the loot to be scooped up by a free loadout and have somebody absolutely juiced off the ass right off the rip. So let's head back to page 1. We'll wrap this up. Let's do a little refresh here. Boom, boom. Anything? It's saying I read all of these. Is that what that... Oh, okay. So if you just scroll over them, it gives it the red. Okay, well, let's continue on then. I mean, these are all very new. Is it saying I read all of them now? Oh, that's unfortunate. Okay, I definitely didn't mean to do that. I must have fucked up or hit something, so I'm sorry for that. Hey, you know what? Nope, disagree with that. Absolutely. Oh, here we go. Okay, let's end on this because this is something we've already kind of talked about. Why devs wouldn't make some silly ability to form a squad or even raid? It would be awesome. It would be awesome collective experience. I need you to work on your English, Chief. I'm trying to give you some fucking time on the channel. The very concept of surviving humanity, send people, we're gonna go verbatim, without any organization to loot something on the surface and fight each other looks unrealistic and dumb from perspective of surviving and fighting over overwhelming arc forces, isn't it? I have nothing against PvP in this game, don't take me wrong, but conceptually it seems unlogic. In such world, people will try to save as much as possible of fighting power. I think the guy has a decent point. Um, yeah, you know what? I think the guy has a decent point. I would love to see them implement something where you could start a squad in the middle of a match in solos, or even in duos. Just add somebody to the squad, and then friendly fire is turned off. I think that would be something pretty cool. Something both players can mutually agree on. So, I didn't want to showcase just hate. I tried to have a couple that were like, man, I'm upset about the game. A couple that were like, here's some feedback. And then a couple of things that were, I think we had one or two that were kind of reviewing things in general being good. And I tried to defend the game as much as possible. But I figured we'd take a look at some of the feedback from the players. I know we didn't get much, but I tried to give my 2 cents on somebody who is absolutely shipping this game. I absolutely support Arc Raiders. I will be purchasing it. And it's probably going to be the full-time game on this channel for a very long time. I would say probably at least the next 5 years. Whenever I'm looking for, something to play, it's going to be between Arc Raiders, Escape from Tarkov, which I have a channel for, Aces EFT, and then, maybe like just a casual shooter like Battlefield or other casual games. All that stuff I upload on my third channel, Aces Plays. So as for me, Arc Raiders is going to be, honestly, my probably number 2 game. It's going to be my number 2 game. And tomorrow, actually, when I get paid, I'm going to be pre-ordering the deluxe. So I'm extremely excited. And I hope you guys are too. So do me a favor, leave a like on this video here today. And of course, consider subscribing to the channel for more Arc Raiders content. I'll see you in the next one. I'm out.